what we have here is a motorcycle. I'm not going to even go into all the details about any of it, except for all these carburetors have been rebuilt. They have all new needles, all new valves. Everything inside of them is new. And the experience I was having was that when I put these on the bike, which I put them all on and I had everything installed, they as soon as I put gas in it, the gas started basically pouring right out of the overflow on the bowls. And I've been messing around with it. I took them all apart and I've been looking at it, trying to figure out what could possibly be going wrong. And they're basically, all the measurements are right. But anyway, let me just get to the point. The point is that as they're hanging here with gravity doing its thing, as they would if you had reinstalled them on the bike, that one's not doing it. This one maybe will. Yeah, so it's tight. It's tight enough that a little fluid would make it not close the valve. So I'm trying to figure it out. So I hung them up here, and I don't know if I can get this possibly just to get in there and take a look at what the problem is, but let's see if this one's tight. No, that one's okay right now. I can't get it to do it, but anyway, if you can get in there and look, and if I can get that bright enough, you can see the valve hanging there, and it's hanging at kind of an angle. And all this one's not sticky. I just can't really show you this number 2 one. Maybe I can. Can you see in there? And we'll make it bright again. So if I get over there, if I can see it, I'm not looking through my phone, to number 2, which is sticky still, which is right here. You can see that needle just hanging out there, and that's not seated right, and it's making the float stick. So if I push on it, you see what it's doing there. It's jumping. So my theory is that with the gravity of putting these things back together, with those needles falling out, that one's just a little sticky, probably just sticky enough. But they're getting jammed up on themselves. And then the floats won't rise, and the valves won't close, and so it's all overflowing. Okay, this is the third time I'm doing the experiment, and as you can see, drip, 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 pretty much all of them except one. Oh, there it goes. That's the first time it's been this bad. But anyway, my point is, that to make it stop, I've just been, something smaller, I've just been tapping on these kind of vigorously until the needle valve just resets itself. And lets the float do its thing, which is basically close the valves. So that's the third time I did it. That time we had all 4 of them going. So I presented a problem. So now I feel obligated to come up with a solution. So here's my solution. This is the same set of carburetors turned upside down. And here's the float on one of them, and there's your needle valve. Okay, and the distance from here to here is way more than it needs to be. I mean, that far maybe is as far as this needs to drop open, which would prevent the valve from falling out of its seat with gravity. So here's my solution. And the theory is we just need to prevent this thing from falling all the way open, so the valve stays in place. So if it can stop right there, then we've got, it's fixed in theory. But you don't want to, you know, introduce a bunch of screws or stuff into your carburetor, obviously. This is some fuel line that I actually used on the carburetors to go in between them, but this is, you know, your basic lawn grass trimmer fuel line, which I've cut into these little pieces. And then what I have been doing is, and I'll try to show you how I did it, but I've been installing them onto these little nubs here. The pillars that are holding the floats. So now they only open this far. And I'll show you once I get them all installed that should be plenty. They should be opening plenty far enough to let your gasoline into your carburetors. So I've got these very fine needle nose pliers, and I don't know if you'll be able to see what I'm doing here because it wants to slip off, but I stretch it out. Yeah, there it goes. And then if I'm real tricky, I can stretch it enough that it'll go all the way over it, and then I can release it, and then it just sort of shrinks itself back into place. And that's how I'm putting those on there. So, all right, 2 more to go. Okay, there they are. They're all on there. So each one of these opens enough to, you know, plenty of air between the valve, needle, and the float. So I've hooked up the tank, put some water in it, running it in. Nothing's coming out, so apparently we've got a solution. And some people might say you can't go sticking things like that in your carburetor, but I'm going to say you can. And it'll work until it doesn't work, at which point I'll let you know. So that's all.